look, you got things to do, you got places to go, but in a matter of minutes, extreme weather can send those plans into the deep freeze. Here to tell us more is Captain Blake Belsky from the West Bloomfield Fire Department. Captain Belsky, thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, Tyler. Hope you're staying warm.
Yeah, glad. I hope you and your team as well, as this deep freeze in our community cycles through over the coming days, and that is a hazard for everybody in the community. You and in your role with the West Bloomfield Fire Department, you're the EMS coordinator. So as we head into this particular cycle of emergency weather, what sort of hazards may we see more commonly for people outdoors if they're not taking the proper precautions?
Oh, gosh. Well, the biggest hazard, and I imagine everyone's heard something about it in the last week leading up to this, is hypothermia. With these wind chills, it is always a concern. And for those that aren't familiar with it, hypothermia is just what happens when your body can't keep up with its own heat production against the environment. When we start getting cold, we need to see people dressing in layers. We need to see people making sure they're eating enough, staying hydrated, so that their body is able to keep warm in spite of the extreme cold and the extreme wind chills.
I go outside last week and then a couple weeks before that. We've had cold temperatures. It's been winter weather as normal for the most part, with some exceptions here in greater West Bloomfield. And I'm out there for a little bit. I'm shoveling snow. I'm wiping off my car, and my hands are getting cold. If I'm not wearing gloves, I'm in a little bit of a rush. I just don't want to deal with the hassle of putting on gloves. But in these temperatures, I'd imagine those symptoms can come on a lot quicker and be a lot more dangerous. How much does this extreme cold weather change the game for just how quickly this weather conditions can affect people's bodies?
We're seeing hypothermia and frostbite set on in a matter of minutes. When these wind chills get down to 20 below zero, it's minutes, and that's why you see all these school districts canceling. It's just not safe for kids to be standing at the bus stop or walking to school. I would caution anyone, you were talking about running errands over the weekend. I would caution everyone, if you have to go outside, make sure it's quick. Make sure you're parking close to the doors at Kroger or wherever you need to be. Avoid going outside if at all possible, even to shovel snow, even to, if your dog needs to go outside to do its business, put it on a leash so it's not running away from you when you try to bring them back in. This is dangerous weather, and we need to make sure that if we can't avoid it, that we're staying safe.
And it's not just the symptoms of hypothermia, the initial signs that will show for hypothermia or will show for something like frostbite that are the problem. It's the severity of this weather, especially the wind chill, that can make those symptoms not only come on quick, but have even more severe effects. So if people are outside, they have to shovel their driveway. They have to, get outside to clear the car off, to take their kids to a practice or to a game or to another event. They have to go out and about. Now, what should they be looking out for? What should they be keeping an eye on their body for to make sure they're not going to be afflicted with hypothermia, frostbite, or other adverse effects of these cold?
So the first sign is that you're feeling that cold. If you're out there shoveling and your fingertips start getting cold, that's an early sign. If you're wearing gloves, make sure the gloves stay dry. If you've got a second set of gloves to change into, if those first pair get wet, make sure you're staying dry. Wet skin will lose heat so much faster than dry skin. So it's very important to make sure you're staying dry. Next, dress in layers. The more air layers that we can keep between layers of clothing, the more insulation you're providing yourself, and you can bear those dangerous temperatures for a bit longer. But you want to keep out for the cold fingertips. That's the first sign. If for some reason you stop feeling the cold, that's a sign that frostbite is setting in. Those nerve endings are no longer sensing that cold, and we're getting into some potential damage to your tissues here. And then obviously the change in color with frostbite. If your skin turns a waxy white, that is a more advanced stage of frostbite. And then tissue death is when that frosty white, waxy white skin starts turning black and looking very, very concerning. It's time to go see a doctor to avoid possibly permanent damage to those tissues.
We got a great graphic up on the screen. We'll put that back up here in just a moment. Calvin, Ryan at Master Control, if you can show that full screen signs of frostbite graphic for the people watching at home and online on civiccentertv.com. Take a brief look at that so that you can understand as you're looking down at your hands, if for some reason you decide not to wear gloves, you got to know what this looks like, because like Captain Belsky had said, it is going to come on quickly, and in these conditions can have severe effects on your body very, very quickly. You have to take extra precautions of that. A great graphic from Very Well Health as we put that up on your screen on civiccentertv.com. More helpful winter safety tips. Follow the West Bloomfield Fire Department on Facebook, the Facebook page at WB Fire Department. You can also find contact info for the West Bloomfield Fire Department on the township's website, wbtownship.org. Continue on with Captain Blake Belsky from the West Bloomfield Fire Department, their EMS coordinator. This extreme weather has an impact on residents at home and out and about in the community. I'd imagine also quite a heavy impact on our firefighters and our paramedics. So in these conditions, what extra steps does your team take to keep themselves safe as they're attending to emergencies in our community?
Well, we're not immune to the cold. We make sure that our folks that are working at the fire stations and working on the trucks make sure that they've got those extra layers, that we're practicing what we preach on this show. We are fortunate to have lots of extra layers, including our turnout gear. The same thing that protects us from the heat in a fire, we wear outside to protect us from the cold in these extreme temperatures. It does a great job on either side of that temperature spectrum. We make sure our trucks are always running. If you see us parked at someone's home, those trucks are running the entire time, in part to make sure that we can leave in a hurry if we need to, but to make sure also that the patient compartment in the ambulance stays heated, so that when we bring someone in, they're not bringing them into a giant ice box on the way to the hospital. Our fire trucks will stay running, and we will actually circulate water through those fire pumps to make sure that water doesn't freeze into a giant block of ice in the event that we need it available quickly on a fire. Yes, so these are all important considerations.
Yeah, all important considerations for your team, and things that we don't really keep in mind when we're thinking about our emergency services in these conditions. They have to take special steps in order to be able to, on the fly, on the go, attend to an emergency in our community. Captain Blake Belsky with us on the Splash Live from the West Bloomfield Fire Department. In addition to, of course, the cold weather conditions outside, people are going to hunker down at home. They're going to stay inside their home. They don't want to drive up their heating bill all that much, their electrical bill during these times, so they may use some additional devices to keep themselves warm. That comes with hazards as well. What should be on people's minds?
Certainly does. And we want to make sure that people are staying comfortable in their home, but we should be doing it safely. A fireplace is great. Make sure it's properly vented. If you haven't had your chimney inspected and cleaned in the past couple of years, find yourself a certified chimney sweep. Have those chimneys, make sure that your fireplace is safe to use in your home. If you are having trouble with your furnace keeping up, space heaters are an option. If you decide to use a space heater, make sure it's at least 3 feet away from any flammable materials, whether it's curtains, wall coverings, furniture, your own clothing. We want to make sure that you're not burning yourself on those space heaters. Make sure they're plugged directly into a wall. We don't like extension cords or power strips when it comes to space heaters. That's another fire hazard. We want to make sure people are avoiding heating their homes with alternative heating sources. It's never safe to heat your home with a hibachi grill or using your stove as a heating device. That's not what those are intended for. Your home isn't going to be able to vent properly and run the risk of building up carbon monoxide. If your power goes out and you have a generator, make sure that you're using that safely 20 feet away from your home so you don't run the risk of drawing that carbon monoxide rich exhaust gas into your home and leading to some additional dangers there.
Yeah, all things to keep in consideration. It's not just the cold weather conditions outside that are going to be a hazard during this time. Plenty more could potentially put you in danger in your own home. All things to keep in mind as we go into a deep freeze here in Greater West Bloomfield. Captain Belsky, in times like this, do we see an increase in emergency calls that the West Bloomfield Fire Department is responding to in Greater West Bloomfield and throughout the Oakway Collective because of these conditions, or is it about normal when we get to an extreme like we're going to be experiencing in the coming days?
We see an increase in calls. I think that's safe to say. It's occasionally an increase of people who are experiencing some sort of medical emergency because of the cold. More than anything, though, we're seeing an increase in calls for service. Those non-emergency calls where someone's power is out and maybe they've got an oxygen concentrator that now they can't use because they don't have backup electricity, and they need some sort of assistance there. Or their power is out, they don't have backup generators, and it's just so stinking cold in that house, they can't stay there anymore. They don't know where to go. There are warming centers. We've got wonderful libraries. I think I say that almost every time I'm on your show, Tyler. Visit your libraries. They've got great books. They've got fireplaces. It is a really wonderful place to spend the extreme cold, the extreme heat, and get comfortable there. But these calls for service where people just don't know who else to go to, the fire department is, we're very fortunate to have the resources where we can respond and direct you to the appropriate resources to get the services that you need, whether it's to shelter from the cold or to address some sort of medical need. We can help.
And in the event that these non-emergency scenarios, some of what you just discussed, do come up, what is the number that people should call? Because obviously they want to remain keeping 911 open for those emergency calls only.
So 911 is the easiest way to get a hold of us. I don't want to discourage people from using that service. That is what we are here for. It is never wrong to call us when you don't know what else to do. The police department, who does the emergency dispatching for the fire department as well, they do have a non-emergency phone number, and I can give that to you. It is 248-682-1555, and there will be a menu of options for you to select from. But you'll be able to get through to a emergency dispatcher using that as well, just their non-emergency line. If you don't need police or fire services or EMS, let's say you just need to find where is a warming center in the area, you can call 211, and that is a fantastic resource for information on those things like warming centers and other shelter services.
Yeah, 211, an excellent resource through the United Way of Southeastern Michigan, and it's always available. It'll point you in the direction of the resources you need, not only during a severe weather emergency like we are currently experiencing, but others going forward. Captain Belsky, as we begin this portion of the severe cold weather going into the coming days, any lasting message for the people of Greater West Bloomfield as we get ready for that on our side, and of course our emergency services always well prepared?
Yeah, I would just encourage everyone to stay safe. If you can avoid going outside, please avoid going outside. If someone can't avoid it and maybe they need a ride, make sure people are being safe, whether it's friends, families, neighbors. Offer them the help that they need, the shelter that they need, whatever is going to keep them indoors and safe from these dangerous cold temperatures. The more help we can give each other, the less you'll need to call 911 and get our folks out there.
More helpful safety tips all winter long. Follow the West Bloomfield Fire Department on Facebook at WB Fire Department. Captain Blake Belsky, thank you for joining us.
I appreciate the time, Tyler. Have a great weekend.